What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and these are my top 10 picks for the best metalcore albums of the 2000s. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, first off, honorable mention to After the Burial with Rareform. This is one of those albums that got me into the more technical side of the genre. Very underrated band with lots of great albums. Check out the track Ometh for a real banger, and rest in peace Justin Lowe. But for my number 10 pick, we've got All That Remains with This Darkened Heart. This was a highly formative record for me, and among the first in the genre that I owned a physical copy of. Just for a reference point of when I was listening to this, I actually bought it at a Circuit City.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art.
The Fall of Ideals is also a great pick, but to me, this album is just even better. Anthemic songs like The Deepest Grey, Focus Shall Not Fail, and For Salvation make it an easy choice. Number 9, we have August Burns Red with Constellations. August Burns Red is another band that is difficult to choose just one album from, as they honestly keep getting better and better with each one. But narrowing it down to their early days makes it a little easier for me. I know that a lot of people would go for Messengers, but if you ask me, Constellations does everything that album does, but even better. Existence, Ocean of Apathy, The Escape Artist, Meddler, I could go on and on. Number 8 is Darkest Hour with Deliver Us. Darkest Hour have had some ups and downs over the years, but Deliver Us has always been the first album that comes to mind when recommending to new listeners. They've always been a band known for their Gothenburg-inspired riffing, but on this one, Chris Norris absolutely outdid himself on tracks like Doomsayer, Demons, An Ethereal Drain, and Tunguska. Even melodic death metal fans who hate core should be able to appreciate these hooks and solos. Number 7 is Norma Jean with Bless the Martyr and Kiss the Child. Another tough one from a band with a pretty dang consistent discography. I could have gone with Oh God, The Aftermath or Redeemer, but at the end of the day, it's gotta be the OG that started it all. There's a reason why it's a seminal album in the genre, with chaotic classics like Face Face, The Shotgun Message, and of course, Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste, which is still one of my favorite metalcore songs of all time. Those panic chords, man. For a deeper cut, I also really like Sometimes It's Our Mistakes That Make for the Greatest Ideas, and I concur with that sentiment. Number 6 is Underoath with They're Only Chasing Safety. This is a somewhat divisive album, both for their early fanbase and the scene in general, given its mix of metalcore aggression with a lot of pop-punk ethos. Songs are incredibly catchy to the point that my first listen of Reinventing Your Exit kind of turned me off. But I came to realize that this is one of the best written balancing acts you can find to this day, with serious sing and scream-alongs like Young and Aspiring, Down, Set, Go, and another one of my all-time favorites, It's a Dangerous Business Walking Out of Your Front Door. Number 5, Every Time I Die with The Big Dirty. Holy moly, this was another tough one. I'm basically to the point where I just try to cover a different one of Every Time I Die's albums every time I mention them in a list, because they're all worthy of note in their own way. As for The Big Dirty, this is the point where it felt like everything got stepped up into higher gear. The energy in the drums and those southern fried riffs, the punch of the production, and perhaps most of all, the irreverence of Keith Buckley's lyrics. Shoot the dog if you can't afford to feed it, and hang 'em high or not at all. Number 4 is Killswitch Engage with Alive or Just Breathing. Largely up until this point, metalcore had a very particular early era sound, much more influenced by the hardcore punk scene from which it was spawned. But for better or worse, I would mark this album as the biggest turning point in the direction of At the Gates inspired riffs and increased focus on clean choruses. And their rise was so fast from this album that they'd find themselves on tour with Slayer just 2 years later. With killer tracks like Numbered Days, Self-Revolution, and My Last Serenade, it's really no wonder. If anyone asks me what metalcore in the 2000s sounded like, this is one of the first albums that comes to mind. Number 3 is As I Lay Dying, An Ocean Between Us. And this is one of the other albums I always recommend to that person. Say what you will about the sudden turn this band's legacy took in their later years, but you cannot talk about 2000s era metalcore without mentioning their name. And for good reason, considering they had the best riffs and tightest songwriting that is still launching bands using this blueprint to this day. An Ocean Between Us is my personal pick, given that basically every song is a single, Nothing Left, Within Destruction, This Is Who We Are, all anthems. Number 2 is Converge with Jane Doe. Flipping back to those OG style bands, you can't have a metalcore list of any kind without including Converge. These guys were among the first handful of bands to define that style's early sound, and they are one of the few remaining that still impress me with album after album to this day. We have been able to grow and mature together, from the angsty teen breakup tunes of Concubine, Distance and Meaning, and Homewrecker, to tear-jerking ruminations on fatherhood with A Single Tear. There's a reason why you still see people wearing t-shirts and even getting tattoos of this album cover. I always struggle with naming a consistent big four of metalcore, but Converge is a name that never leaves the list. And then finally, to regular listeners, this number 1 pick should come as no surprise, as I gush about it basically every opportunity that I get. This is an album that from the very first moment I listened to this very day has continued to be one of my top 10 go-to albums regardless of genre.
Well, we're waiting.
We're talking Poison the Well and You Come Before You. Ghost Chant is the best kind of album opener. Tracks like For a Bandaged Iris take us on powerfully dynamic journeys to the always driving rhythms of Chris Hornbrook, and others like Zombies Are Good for Your Health and Crystal Lake just pound you into the frickin' ground. Stunning and strangely underrated. But now it's your turn. Let me know what your favorite 2000s metalcore albums are down in the comments, and stick around for more of these videos. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.